Dan, how did you first get interested in improv?
Honestly, the first time I got interested in improv, it was an improv class, and there was a girl who I had a crush on, and she said, "Let's take improv together." And I said, "Yeah, okay, I'll do that." It wasn't what I expected would then change the course of my life so profoundly. The classroom was so incredibly, it was exciting and dynamic. It was, the 2 hours went by in a flash. It was like the world was exploding with creativity and imagination, and it was scary, but at the same time, my teacher was Patricia Ryan Madsen, who ended up being my mentor for many years, and she made it so safe for us to take risks. And that was what was the most exciting thing about it. Like, we would step in and go, I don't know what's gonna happen, but she lets us know that it's gonna be okay wherever it goes. And then we would marvel at our classmates, and then we'd get up ourselves and we'd marvel at ourselves. It was an amazing experience.
I love that you first got introduced to improv in the classroom,
Yeah.
because to me that suggests that it's teachable, that it's a skill
Yes.
set, a set of practices we can all learn. I think
Yes.
many of us, when we first hear improv, we think Saturday Night Live,
Right.
we think, oh, you have to be funny,
Right.
or just special, and magical things happen up on stage, and yet
Yeah.
you learned it in the classroom.
One of the worst things that you can do as an improviser is try to make a joke. Because more often than not, it won't work. And then you'll have that silence that is, it's the worst death you can imagine. And so you learn to not try to be funny and just do what's obvious and pay attention and make your partner look good. And it turns out that it is funny, and it's funnier than you ever thought it could be, and that doesn't have to be your plan or your goal. Everybody has the capacity to notice what's going on, pay attention, recognize it, and then add a little bit. And let's just do that. And you don't have to be talented. You don't have to be clever or funny or interesting. Just pay attention and do what's next. And it ends up being amazing and delightful. One of the things that happens when we're acting in something that's scripted is we're planning ahead, or we're thinking about what just happened. And improv is about getting us more frequently into that space where we're aware of the exact moment and what's happening right now. And the moment you're thinking about something else, what am I going to do, what am I going to say, you're taken out of it. And improv is constantly getting us to go pay attention to right now. So that's one of the first things. The other thing that is central to improv is that it's all about your partner. It's not about you. It's about your partner. Your job is really to make your partner look good. And within that, we teach people to say yes to your partner, to accept all offers, to accept whatever they come up with. It doesn't matter what you were thinking in the moment, what your partner just said is 1,000 times better. And so when we're in that mode, then amazing things happen. Our own creativity gets unlocked, but we're not trying to unlock it. We're just there for our partner.
I think that is so powerful, to practice being present, and to practice really listening to others, which is the other critical thing that I see happen, that good improvisers are actually great listeners.
Yeah. At the beginning of an improv class, we try to take language out of it, because when people are talking, they're really concerned about how they sound, about the content of what they're saying. If they generate words, they want to sound intelligent or sound funny or interesting. And so we strip that away. And all the first exercises are nonverbal, because I really want to let go. I want to get the ego out of it. I want to take away the responsibility of coming up with a good thing to say. But the other thing that we do is, by letting people not have to think about what they're going to say, they can focus on the listening and the paying attention. It's 80% listening. I think there's another essential piece to this, and that is, how do we respond to failure? And our typical response to failure, our normal reaction, is to tense up, to physically and literally guard or protect ourselves. Whenever someone makes a mistake, they wince or flinch or cringe. Mistakes are opportunities. When we give each other permission to make mistakes, we bond even faster. And I think that's maybe the secret sauce. Like, why improv workshops, why like classes at the D School at Stanford that teaches design thinking, why they're so sought after, why they're so oversubscribed, is because the students show up in the classroom and they're told, you can shoot for average and fail cheerfully. and that's not what they were taught the whole rest of their life. And when I tell students that, when I tell particularly high-achieving students who really put a lot of pressure on themselves to do it right, when I say shoot for average and fail cheerfully, it's almost like I can see this armor cracking. I think that improv helps us be more resilient because we get experience after experience of feeling in our body what it's like to fall down in a safe, padded room, metaphorically. We get to feel, oh, that's that sensation. I sense myself sort of tensing up or looking to blame someone or to hide or cover my mistake. And if instead, in that moment, we say, what opportunity has just emerged because of this mistake?
Yes.
If that's the first question you ask, it would be amazing what things will emerge.
For somebody listening to this, they're saying, Dan, that sounds great, but I'm not sure that's going to fly in my organization. How would you recommend somebody get started bringing some of these new ideas?
Yeah, that's a good question. I always recommend Patricia Ryan Madsen's book, Improv Wisdom. She taught at Stanford for 30 years in the theater department, but it's not a book for actors. It's about bringing improv into your life. If you have a meeting where you want to explore some innovative or new creative thinking, if you want to do any kind of creative work, you can use an improv exercise as we call it a stoking exercise. It'll be something that sort of primes our mind to get ready to be playful.
Yep.
And there's a couple of them in Improv Wisdom, and if you ever do an improv class, you'll get them, tons of them. But here, can I show you one right now?
Absolutely.
You've probably played this game before, yes. But this is I really like this because it's pretty low key and it's pretty. You don't have to sort of dive in fully. You can get people to do it just sort of sitting at their seats at the very beginning. And what we're going to do is we're just going to create the world's worst run-on sentence. We're going to go back and forth, one word at a time, and make up a sentence. And I like to say world's worst run-on sentence to lower the stakes. We don't have to be good at this, but it's not just random words. We're going to actually try and make a sentence.
Okay.
Do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You start.
Okay. When
I
fall
down,
I
sometimes
find
myself
under
a lot
of
worry
because
I
know
that
this
time
might
really
be
painful,
which
would
most
definitely
cause
my
parents
to
worry
a
lot,
and
that
makes
me
very
sad. Okay, good, cool. Yeah, that was
Very
really fun. So that was interesting. And when we were playing that, I don't know if you noticed how this is my experience was partially. Well, there was a tone that was coming from us that was leading towards the content. Yes. Like the content was feeding on the tone, but also the tone was feeding into the content. Like I usually get people to do it a couple times. They try it with a couple different partners, and the recognition that this is a listening exercise more than it's a talking exercise is so important.
So important.
We play this game because we want to plan ahead and we want to get it right, and you can't. You can't. As if you have an idea of where you want it to go, too bad. It's not going to go there. And if you're attached to that, you won't be able to do the game. You'll just be struggling and suffering.
Definitely. I know you work a lot with teams, and I think we're learning more about the neuroscience of teams and what it takes for teams to work together, particularly in collaborative situations where, again, they're tasked to do something new and novel.
I think that one of the things that improv does is it really helps people pay attention to the whole group and the rhythm within the group. Diverse teams are going to outperform the sort of universally intelligent teams. Like intelligence isn't what makes it successful. There's a diversity in the team. So I always advocate for that, and I see that absolutely working on stage and in my classrooms as well. But the other thing is turn taking. Just the ability to share control rather than having one person dominate the entire time. It's okay to have a leader, that's great, but I think the idea of being able to portrayed leadership is really, really powerful for a team, because then ego doesn't get attached to the work. The other thing that I know really works on stage, that I know there's a lot of, I see versions of this in organizations, is when there's a higher purpose. The people, if you are on stage because you want to look good, then it's doomed from the start. You better be good looking, and you better have a good voice, and you better be funny, because that's what's going to get you through. But if as a group, your goal is to tell the best story, is to put on the best show, then you might be the hero, you might be the villain, you might be the tree. Whatever's needed is what you'll do. And when a team also has a shared purpose, it isn't about making them look good, or it's not about your own individual career, it's about who are we serving here? Do we have customers that are living with diabetes, that we want to make their life better? If we have a higher purpose, then we do better work as a team.
Dan, you use improv to help people innovate. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Sure. Okay, here's an example of using improv for innovation. I was working with a team from Cisco, and it was a globally diverse team, so we were working on WebEx. We were doing a facilitating innovation piece. And I taught them the idea of saying yes and, building on each other's ideas rather than blocking or shutting down ideas. How do you add to the idea? And it's nice to do it with a made-up imaginary thing, but I thought, let's do it with something real. And so one of the participants, who was working with emerging markets, he said, okay, well, here's a challenge that we're working on. And so I said, okay, good, let's play the game with that real-world challenge that he's actually wrestling with. And we played yes and for a few minutes, and we sort of batted ideas around and kind of came up with something. And I checked back with him. I said, how did that sound? And he said, well, that's the idea that my team came up with. And I thought, oh, okay, well, sometimes we use these tools and we're shooting for obvious, and sometimes we will get the obvious. It doesn't mean we'll always get the most outrageous, innovative new thing. He said, no, you don't understand. It took us 6 months to come up with that idea. And so yes and not only gives us new ideas, it can also accelerate the process.
Yes. What I love about yes and is that it becomes part of the culture as well. It gets steeped in the fabric. People don't even realize that they're blocking. They say yes, but.
Exactly.
It's just like a backhanded block.
That's right. You don't even realize it yourself. That's one of the first things we have to realize is we practice accepting other people's offers, and then we start to recognize, actually, this is giving us the ability to accept our own offers. And that's where true creativity comes, when you're not blocking yourself before the ideas even come out in the world. There's a moment that an improviser has to pay really careful attention to their partner, and they're making eye contact as often as you can. You're looking into your partner's eyes, and one thing that they're looking for, the great improvisers, are trying to get their partner's eyes to light up, to get sort of delighted. And that's what we're going for. I feel like it's not just on stage. Like, we want that in the boardroom. We want that in team meetings. We want people to be inspired.